Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and joins me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just enjoying this cold weather that we're experiencing at the end of June. Sorry, at the start of June for whatever reason. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing all right. And we're here to talk about another great week of comics, everybody. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. This is our weekly comic book review show where we get together and talk about the books that we read every week and give you our thoughts and ratings on them and show off some of the art, talk about some comic book news, all this type of stuff. If you missed out on our another show that we did recently is our comic book solicitation show. You can go back and check out our playlist. It's in the feed there. We do those once a month as well, where we go over the new upcoming books that come out a couple months from now to kind of let you know what we're looking forward to checking out and reading. And this week, we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of May 28th, 2025, as we round out the end of the month. And as always, be forewarned, spoiler warning, we are going to be talking about what happens in the books as well as showing off some of the art. So if you're worried about getting spoiled, you can always read your books and then come back. Got a big old playlist here of episodes you can look through and all of our other content here on the channel. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Talk some comics. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. First up on the docket here today. You froze for a second there. It seemed like I was like, "What's?"
No, I think you froze on your side. It's like, oh, he must have finished saying. It's like, okay, let's go.
I was like, "What's going on? Did Chris break?" It's like all of a sudden it turns out you're like a cyborg or something over there.
Glitched out there for a second.
That's what it seemed like. Oh, there you go. We got some internet connectivity issues. Great. All right, Batman 160 is the first up on one on the docket here today. I do like this cover. This one's a good one.
Yeah, nice cover.
It's simple, effective, and yeah, there you go. I do like this one. Did you see those issues out there, Chris? There's like giant issues.
Yeah, they have the giant. I think they're doing the Hush and Giant size.
They are. Yeah, that's crazy.
I wouldn't mind seeing one, but what are you going to do with it? Like,
yeah, they're like the
if you're a really big Hush fan. Like, if they had that for Spider-Man and Wolverine,
right?
I'd be tempted by those ones. Having that art that big, that would be something.
It's for the people, I guess, that like Jim Lee's art, right? Obviously, but anyways, what do you think of this, Chris?
Well, I think the story's starting to pick up here a little bit, but it's still not a great story. It seems to be, based. No, I don't want to say based, but more focused on the Robins. It looks like Hush is, trying to kill all the Robins. It seems, and then I don't know if there's that new character introduced here, Silence. I guess to go with this kind of Hush theme. It's okay, I thought the art would be more. The art is still good. It's still great, but it's not impactful. Let's say. And I wish I could say more about this.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add on this either. I mean, there was some great pages. This looked good. Yeah, to your point, Jim Lee, some places not as good as maybe what we remember of Jim Lee. Other places, I thought he really had some good moments in this issue and, in the series so far. And, but yeah, the story's pretty one note, I'll say. It's okay. Like you said, it's developing. It's some stuff going on, but yeah, nothing too exciting to write home about for me at least.
Yeah, I guess the big thing there is what's his name, Damian, kind of bringing Bane to help him out or something, which doesn't make Batman feel too great.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I mean, and then Commissioner Gordon there is in trouble. And Batgirl there, his daughter, she kind of tries to come to his aid there.
Yeah.
It's a good excuse, just like the other Hush. It's like showing you the who's who of the Batman world and kind of going through all the Bat family members at least right now, right? And I guess we're slowly getting kind of showing some of the villains as well. So because it gives Jim Lee an opportunity to kind of revisit all this kind of stuff. So it's not bad, but it's not exciting me all that much, to be honest with you. But it's I'll keep reading it. I think it's fine. Yeah, the Bane part was pretty cool. I did like that. That was interesting. We'll see what happens there with these two, but yeah, he's in a bad position by the end of this there. Oh yeah, that bit was kind of interesting too, Chris. The whole part about the fact that Bruce's father, he was a surgeon, and he had these like scalpels that were made out of like some metal, like
Oh,
some
yeah,
like
Damascus metal or something.
yeah, some like interesting metal where like it balances at all times. I don't know what that was all about, but I was like, okay, that's kind of weird and interesting, I guess. But then,
These are like freaking throwing knives. They don't need scalpel doesn't need to be balanced.
well, I guess it was more about his father, if he was like actually like I don't know in the middle of a procedure or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was funny that they had that little part in there in the flashback, and then like you said, to your point, Hush is like whipping them, like throwing knives. And everything. So that part was kind of amusing, just because it was weird. I was like, "Oh, this is odd." That's
Yeah,
the case with those. But anyways, what'd you think?
I still think it's a good read. I'm happy whenever it comes out. Like, I don't want to tear this comic down, but I can't give it a super high score. I give it a 4. Sorry, 3.75.
Yeah, I'm going 3.5. This has been a 3.5 book.
No, that can't be a 3.5. That art alone takes a 3.75. The
It's,
story's half decent.
it's all right.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, for me it's been lad, I think, from the start personally, but I don't know. We'll see. We still got some time to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I heard he's delayed though about a month already.
Yeah. I'm
The
not
next issue is going to be a month late. I don't know how that's going to interact with how the schedule for the new Batman, because I think they are doing this in 2 parts.
mm-hmm.
So this might stop here, and then he's gonna whatever the new Batman will run for a bit, and maybe he'll come back here in 10 years and finish it.
That's what you want. You want Jim Lee on art, man. So you gotta wait, right? I mean, that's what it is. Next up, we got Absolute Wonder Woman #8. I got this great variant cover here.
Oh yeah, guess we think alike.
You got that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
was it
nice.
Sanford Green, I think.
Sanford Green. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, I really like his art. I have for a long time. So yeah, this looked great. I mean, any opportunity to get that huge like berserk sword in like the huge sword that she's got, honestly, like I'm in. I like any cover that is able to show that off. I love that shit, man. That's one of the coolest parts about that character in this book. But what'd you think of this issue?
Yeah, this issue here, it's Wonder Woman's been riding high lately, so I think I might have to take a breath. And this is, I think it's taking a big deep breath for this issue, and hopefully there's more to come. I don't know. The story here was decent. I like the Sherman here, whatever. It's what's his name? Sherman.
Aiden Sherman.
Aiden Sherman. Yeah, the panel layout. It's all interesting stuff, but it's not pushing an interesting story. Let's say right now, I think there's a bit of what happened even here. Didn't some people go down to hell or something to see her world? And I think they weaponized some of the Tetracide song or something.
Well, there's a new villain that's introduced, essentially, this doctor who's like Mist or something. I forgot her name. Like a point. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Like Dr. Poison. Dr. Poison. Yeah. So that's I guess a villain that was introduced in this. And then Wonder Woman erects some like building of some sort, essentially, right? Like that's what I think you're referring to with them going to.
Yeah, I thought they were in like some other world for that. Like thinking, she spent some time, casting some sort of spell or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on here, but it was okay.
I agree with you. I don't think this is in Gateway City where they actually erect that building. So she's on Earth for this. Yeah, she's on Earth in this. I don't know who but I think the building itself, I think she's bringing from from hell. But yeah, but then she gets attacked by a bunch of these like small robot things at the end. And then that Dr. Poison ends up showing up. So there's a lot, like you said, I 100% agree with you about what you said. Like this is more of like a cool down period, like a breather of sorts after the first big arc that we got. And then we got that little 2-parter story that with a different artist that talked about her, with her mother and everything. So with her going back to hell, essentially, because at the end of that arc, she kind of got pulled back down there. And yeah, they're basically just starting up a new story here finally. So I agree. This wasn't the strongest issue of the series. It was probably my least favorite in some time, actually, probably than the whole run. Not to say that it was bad, but it's you can tell that they're shifting gears now and they're starting up a new direction and story for the character. So there wasn't too much exciting things happening in this one, so to speak. But yeah, Hayden Sherman back on art. That's always great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. But I agree. This wasn't it. This issue. This wasn't in contention for favor of the week for once. I'll say that much. So,
No.
What'd you give this?
Yeah, this is a 3.5.
Yeah, I want to give it more, but yeah, I agree. Same 3.5. All right, next up we got Giant Size X-Men #1. I got my issue here. I got the Art Adams cover for this one.
Oh, you bought it? Oh, let's see that cover.
This is mainly why I bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool cover. I like Art Adams, so this is why I got it. So that's the main reason why I picked it up, not because I'm as interested in this, I guess, string of one-shots that they plan on doing. And I guess...
Are they doing them weekly, too?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think it's... yeah, this is the only one I ordered, like based off of the cover artist. But I guess you learn in this, yeah, this is going to be the start of an ongoing... I thought all those one-shots were separate, but apparently it's an ongoing X-Men series of different moments throughout, I guess, the X-Men history. They're playing the hits. I guess they have to go back to the drawing board because the current era of X-Men is really shitty. So they're like, all right, let's do a bunch of one-shots, playing the hits of different moments throughout X-Men history with different creative teams. This is Kelly and Lansing, Jackson Kelly and whatever Lansing, whatever those two names are, and Adam Kubert on art. So I mean, there's good people involved with this issue. But what do you think of this, Chris?
I think that Kelly or Jackson and Lansing.
Yeah,
they like to do the fan service, and this one hits you right in the feels. Not in a very good way, but I'm just happy to see Professor X being, the Professor X I remember. You get to see all those new X-Men before before they all have attitudes, or with the attitudes they kind of show there, where they come from now. So it's kind of a fun read that way. But the story itself, how they're trying to shoehorn everything in, I thought it might be interesting with Legion there. But if they're just going to be jumping through time and all this sort of baloney, it's not a great story. But it does hit a few notes there that I did enjoy. And then there's some backup story which could be interesting, where you meet some character where I guess her mutant power is to be better than anybody around her. And then I guess Professor X kind of goes to a scene where he tries to recruit her to be one of the new X-Men, and I guess if she's better than anybody around her, and Professor X is there, so her mental ability is stronger than his, and she kind of basically erases this from his memory, and kind of threatens to show up when she wants to. So maybe that's gonna foreshadow something in the future. So I thought that was a little bit interesting.
I don't know if this is her name, but I think it's Superior. She at least calls herself Superior in one part, and like they bolded the word. So I don't know if that's the plan, is basically if that's her name or not, this mutant. But that would actually be a pretty cool name. It would make sense since she's, like you said, her powers to be better than the other person there, right? So that was pretty cool, because she says, "I'm not your equal, I am superior" at one part, and I was like, oh, I hope that's this mutant's name, because that's kind of cool.
Well, it could be. I didn't catch that, so that's a good catch.
But otherwise, yeah, I mean, listen, the story was fine. I mean, the main difference here is that Kamala Khan, now that she's a mutant, is the one that's chosen to go like she's the one that gets pulled into the past, and I guess is going to be going throughout these different eras of X-Men. And the thing I wasn't 100% clear on is, I guess a while ago, when I guess the younger versions of the X-Men were around in the Marvel universe, I guess she interacted with them because she kind of came into the past, and it was like they remembered her, some of them, which I thought was a little confusing. Like, I didn't remember that was a thing. I couldn't remember if Kamala was around at that time interacting with them, but I guess she was, because I do remember when that happened, and they brought the younger X-Men into the future for a bit in the status quo of the Marvel comics. I think it was with Bendis. So like that was interesting. It took me a while to kind of get used to that, how they had a knowledge of her. I thought they all weren't going to know her, but then like Cyclops knew her, and the Professor X read her mind and knew her. So like it was like a whole thing. And I thought the Adam Kubert layouts were quite good. Like there was a lot of like, I like the Kuberts, and it's a while since I've seen Adam. I've seen Andy a lot recently, and it looks good. I like the art. So I'll give it points for the art as well. But the story just didn't get me hooked, I'll say. I wasn't really interested to check out the next one, so to speak, which is the giant-sized Dark Phoenix saga, the next one, which I am. Actually, maybe I will be talking about it because there is a cover out there I do want to try to get my hands on if I can. Which I don't have it pre-ordered though, so hopefully I can get a hold of that. So otherwise, yeah, I don't think this is worth checking out. Like, well, again, there's a couple of reasons why you might want to check it out. Adam Kubert's on it, and like I said, if you care about that, or just kind of revisiting these periods of the X-Men, it might be worth it. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, that's their names. I always forget it. But anyways, what'd you give this, Chris?
I want to give it a 3.75.
I'm going to give it the same.
Yeah, because I did like seeing Colossus, I like seeing all those characters, kind of back in their original forms before they go whatever wacky or whatever happened to them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good, and it had good art. I was going to give it points. I gave points for that as well. So yeah, I'll also go 3.75. Next up, big release here, Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell #2 of 3. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This art, I don't know. I don't think it's great art, but it suits this story 100%. I think I probably talked about that before. And then, I saw sort of a comparison. Well, okay, let's get into the story here. I guess what's his name? The Daredevil he's back in business, but he seems to think his power seems to be fading.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Bullseye. And I guess he tracks down sort of one of Bullseye's crew.
Yeah.
And he tries to take them on. And it looks like his power kind of fades, or he's still not as strong as he thought he was. And then lo and behold, someone comes out of the blue to save him. And it's freaking Elektra. And right away, that's like a wow moment there.
And it's not just Elektra; it is like a Frank Miller looking Elektra. Like
that's what I wanted to start out. I saw some sort of comparison, not a comparison, but they put a side by side with that Frank Miller Elektra, like a prime Frank Miller Elektra versus this Elektra here, and it's like they totally caught the spirit without copying. I'd like to say, you know what I mean? It's not like he went out to do this. And it looks like Elektra is, I guess she has the power of the beast in the hand, or she's taking control of the beast, because she looks, like she looks like has an age of the day, and she sort of offers Matt the opportunity, or Daredevil the opportunity. Hey, I can make you whole again. You just got to come with me. So I don't know what her story is, but it's an interesting story, and everything that went on there. The stuff with the Punisher he's still hanging around. He's not doing anything. He's stuck to the wall. And it seems like they picked up some kid there that's going to be like almost like some sort of battery for Bullseye, whatever his plans are. And it looks like the government has been trying to sort of recreate some of the superpowers that have all since gone away. Mm-hmm. And they have like a stockpile of that radioactive goo. And, it sounds like they have some of the super soldier serum and some other things, but they want to kind of choose their own people to make, to say the least. So I think it's a great story. I'm glad it's only 3 issues, because this is just humming along and keeps every page, making you want to read more.
Yeah, I like the art, but I get if you don't like the style of the art itself. I think you're right on the money with what you said about just the way that he utilizes the style of the artwork, even like the panels that he does, like with the fighting like moments, and even the fact that he's pulling from like so the inspiration and look and energy of like the Frank Miller era of Daredevil. Like we've been talking about this a lot lately. I'm loving that these guys are doing this kind of stuff between this and Kerry Andrews with his stuff that he's kind of pulling from like a McFarlane kind of area. I love that these guys are kind of giving they're doing their own thing, but yet homaging also at the same time, giving a tip of the hat to these great artists of, from periods of Marvel that people really love and runs that people really love. And that's what this feels like. I mean, that is straight up a Frank Miller Elektra like that.
Yeah, right there. Oh, that's bringing her in. That's how you introduce a character.
Yeah, this panel, there's another panel. I hope I pulled it for the art here that there's like a side profile of her. And I'm just like, wow, that looks exactly like Frank Miller drew this, like from back then. Like it's great. I mean, obviously, he created that character. I love Elektra. So her showing up in this had all the elements of the stuff you really wanted to see with a really good Daredevil story. And like you said, they're not drawing it out. I love the touch of the stitches on his costume. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I love how the Punisher really hasn't, even though he's been in play, he really hasn't been able to really do much so far, right? Like, because he's like got no arms and legs.
He's got no arms. He's like a freaking a painting hanging on a wall there.
Yeah, so that's kind of still in play somehow. I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but Foggy showed up in this issue. Yeah, so and I like the fact that they actually are showing all these people like as aged characters in the future. Like it's good. I mean, Elektra still looks great, but but everybody else, like you could see they're showing their age here, right? Like for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's
If you're a Daredevil fan, this is hitting every freaking note. Like it's a classic Daredevil villain. Like all you need is freaking Kingpin to show up in here or something.
Yeah. And there's one more issue to go, so you never
Yeah,
know.
who knows?
But yeah, he got all the elements and characters, honestly, from the Frank Miller stuff as well. So it's great stuff. I'm really really loving it. So and then last time it was both of our favorites of the week. We gave it a 5-star rating. How about this time, Chris? What are you thinking?
I know that I can't give it a 5. I'm giving it a 4.25. That last one just hit me hard. But I knew what to expect this time, and it didn't. It delivered.
I agree that this wasn't as good maybe out the gate as the first issue was. So I also will not give it a 5, but I'm gonna go a strong 4.5 for this one. Like I'm loving this series.
Yeah.
And with one more issue to go, one more. Stay tuned if it's our favorite of the week or not till the end of the episode. But listen, it's in the running, and honestly, this is one of the better Marvel books this year. I feel like we've talked about with 2 issues. Honestly, like it's been great. It's I'm interested to see where this lands at the end of the year when we do our favorite of the year, because this has been great so far. Hopefully he sticks the landing with that next one. Then next up we got the ending of Rogue Savage Land with number 5. I got 2 covers here. Got the Kerry Andrews covers, which have been great, and I got this J. Scott Campbell cover here.
Nice.
Yeah, also a really cool one. Got the Sabretooth there.
Yeah, I got to see if my LCS pulled that for me or not.
Sabu, is that his name? I can't remember, but I think it's Sabu or something. Yeah. But yeah, Chris, what do you think of the finale here?
Yeah, I think the series is running on fumes, and it just sort of puttered out. And even just the way it ended, it's like, oh, you want to find out what happened next. It can read whatever I guess the follow up was in the X-Men.
Yeah.
Of the 80s or the late 80s or early 90s.
274, yeah, issue 274.
I think I might have that issue, but freaking for me to dig it up, who knows? It's under stacks and stacks of stuff.
Great cover to that one with Nick Fury and everything.
Oh yeah, well, it's enough to spawn a 5-issue series, I guess.
Yeah,
but like I was invested in this story, and kind of see how it goes. It was okay, I guess. Magneto kind of powered up, let's say, and he did his thing. But I don't know. It wasn't quite the punch I was looking for.
No, it did. I mean, it wasn't Jim Lee Rogan the Savage Land. I mean, this is clearly not that. This was just like a story to tell in between the moments that weren't talked about, I guess, in the actual
Yeah.
comic book series of how she got there or what she was doing there, which I guess was something that I guess fans had discussed, and they used this as an opportunity to kind of do like one of these flashback type of series where they're like, this is kind of what happened in between the raindrops, kind of, you know what I mean? Like in the moments where you didn't know what happened leading up to this is what occurred. And was this a story worth telling? Not really. It
Were
lost
the
steam.
covers worth selling? Yes, they were.
Oh, I've got about 20 covers probably for this 5-issue miniseries. I got some really good ones though on my bookshelf because of this. So I'm happy about
yeah.
that. I'm fortunate. I'm happy for the covers that came out of this series. The series itself, I kind of lost interest probably halfway through. It was, it started off decent and then kind of just faded fast for me and my interest at least, right? So yeah. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5. The series as a whole, and this is based just on cover art. That's 3.75. Four, even if you want.
If we're going with cover art, then yes, I agree with that rating, the 3.75 to 4 for sure. If we're going
There are a
based
lot of great covers.
If we're going based on the story, though, I'd probably go like 3.25, 3.5 around that area for the story and the in the final issue, honestly, around that area. All right, Chris. I didn't get my copy this week. Black Hammer, Spiral City #6. Please let me know what's going on here.
Inspector and Sector. It's all about him. Well, not all about him, but he played a lot of the story there. I guess in the last issue, one of his buddies died, and he's there with the Mr. Marionette, and they're investigating the scene. And I think the cops pull him up, or he goes to the police station or something. He wants to talk to the police commissioner, and I guess he has some sort of history with her. And then then it cuts into a few scenes with Black Hammer and the warden of the jail he worked, and they're kind of just sitting at the bar, and they're kind of just talking, just talking as I guess old chums do. And then Black Hammer's telling him about, I'm back in the fighting scene, and the warden's like, it's not so bad. He goes, yeah, but I'm working with, I think his name is Nighthawk. And, I saw some things I shouldn't see, and the worst thing is I didn't do anything about it. And then basically that warden, I guess he was a hero at 1.2, or at one time as well. And then he kind of inspires the Black Hammer to maybe step up again, because it seems that this Nighthook is supplying half a Spiral City with drugs. And so it looks like they might be stepping up into place and see what's going on. But with Inspector and Sector, he's talking with he thinks he's cracked the case of who's killing all these superheroes is a corrupt cop, and he brings it to the police chief there. And then she kind of has an alibi for him. And then she goes, well, we did have an eyewitness, and it's not the person you think of, so he's all upset. And then you got his buddy Marionette going back home with Backwards Bob. And then he says, one line is that the eyewitness saw the killer walking out backwards. And he's like, what? Walking backwards? And then you see Marionette is with Backwards Bob, and Backwards Bob's talking all funny. He goes, oh, it's not Backwards Bob anymore. It was like, I don't know, front face Fred or forward Fred or whatever it is. And this guy seems to be like a psycho. And that's where it's at.
Those are great characters, man.
It was a very, a powerful scene there when he goes, yeah, and the eyewitness says, they saw the suspect walking out backwards, and he's like face drops because he knows that his buddy, Mr. It seems wacky just talking about it this way, but you really connect with these characters, and Mr. Marionette's going back to his buddy or back to his home where Backwards Bob is,
right?
And then he's the guy's, hey Bob, what's going on? And he's like, oh, Bob's not here. It's front face Fred, and I want to play. And then you see the Insector come up there, and he rushes home, and it's just like a friggin' bloodstain on the ground. Oh, and then at the end, there's the mayoral situation. Because there was that girl there that was the daughter, right?
Yeah, the one that like is a drug addict and she like has the pyro kind of like
Yeah,
power.
and then he told her to get out of town because if people found out, So she talks again to this police chief that's also running for mayor, and then it kind of ends up, I'm forget what the mayor's name is. That's Mayor Golden or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm Mayor Gold's daughter, so it looks like she's about to spill the beans on him.
Oh
So
wow.
we'll see what's going on in the next issue. Big things are afoot.
Yeah, I
Good.
think it's the last issue of
Yeah.
this particular mini series, and the thing that makes it even worse, though, to your point about these characters, though, it's like it's such a dreary fucking book, and it's like the most sad sack type characters that you're dealing with the whole time. So it's just like all these bad things that are happening to them throughout the the series, and you're just like, it's hard, it's tough, and you like you said, you do make a connection because you want something to go right for these guys, right? Like this.
Yeah, like these guys are like the crappiest world. They, something. These three guys got together to make their detective agency. And he thinks he's cracked the case. There, they all think they're important about stuff, and just get the rug pulled out right from under them.
What'd you give it?
I'll give this. I'll give it a 4.25. This Black Hammer is good stuff. I'm glad you turned me on to this.
Yeah, it is really good. And you know what? You came in at the perfect time because this was like a resetting of the status quo of sorts. And this is probably the best series that he's had like in the last couple, like because he keeps doing like these mini series. Yeah, but this was the start of a new kind of they ended the story with the one that came before this that he was telling from the start of the series. So like this is a whole new direction, a new set of characters and everything in this. So yeah, it's great. Good stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to read it, that one. Bug Wars #4, Chris.
Yeah, so I think what happened in the last issue. Anyways, I guess the kid there with it's a lot of him with the spider lady. I guess she pulled him out into the field, and they're still trying to make it to the Hanging Gardens, where they hope that the spider people can take that amulet out of the kid, and he can go back to his world, and then those bug people will do whatever they do there. But a lot of this is them traveling from wherever they are, I guess, to the porch of the house where the Hanging Gardens are, and it's just a lot of world building. They kind of talk about the dangers of that time, and just have little panels of these different kind of areas of the land. And I think at one point the wasps come in, and the kid seems to have no powers, or that amulet isn't working, so he kind of pretends that he has the powers. He shows the amulet to like some I don't know, like Lord Humongous type character. He's got the big mask and the horns, and he kind of just bluffs them that he has this power, and they all take off. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And I think one of the wasps come back and stings the spider lady, and she has a few seconds to try and use her powers to neutralize the wasp venom. And then that kid goes ballistic. He beats the crap out of that guy and kills him.
Right.
And then he's still kind of coming to terms that he's killing all these people.
Right.
And then as they as they get close to the gardens, that spider lady sort of reveals to him that the way they got to get that amulet out is that he's going to have to die. And then, she wants him to escape once they get there. Then he says, no, this is the way it's got to be.
Okay.
I think his beetle buddy shows up again. So it's a good story. This might be getting a little long in the tooth too, but it's still good stuff.
I think it's 6 issues total, so it's got
Yeah, I think it's coming to a head soon. I guess this was 4, so we had a couple more to go.
Yeah. What'd you give it?
I got 3.75.
Okay, cool. Next up we got Avengers 26. Oh, also I got Harley Quinn. What is this? 51 this week. I just want to show off the David Nakayama cover here.
Those are nice covers. If you got a whole run of those covers, you put them side by side, they look nice together.
They're nice. Yeah, I've been enjoying these covers, but I didn't read it for the show because I've stated that it's kind of been the same for so long that I'm just repeating myself with my comments about not enjoying the book. So I mentioned last episode that, or when we talked about issue 50, that I won't talk about it until I feel like there's something worth talking about in the book again. So I did want to share the nice cover as I always do.
Okay.
The Nakayama. So yeah, I won't be talking about it this week. But Avengers 26 though, I read this one digitally. This basically just continues with the One World Under Doom tie-in story that they've been telling. And if you remember the last issue, Chris, it's like kind of a bunch of different, like, you know, CD list type villain people that have come together essentially. And
Oh yeah, no.
yeah, which I really enjoyed. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I could have read that. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I really liked it. Masters of Evil is called this arc. So yeah. But yeah, basically, Sam Wilson Cap is the only guy up against them in this issue. He's kind of left on his own here. And you know, I think the original plan was for them to, I think, assist them, aid them against Doom. And you know, in this one, you kind of just have another fun issue of all these villains, kind of the Thinker and all these people, like, you know, talking to one another, interacting with one another, and just seeing how like crazy these people are, and like how they are able to, you know, hold, like, you know, just to see them interacting with one another was a lot of fun. Like, I think he writes these characters really fun. It's great when you don't really have the restraints of like continuity with a bunch of villains that you don't really see all too often, I feel like, and they're kind of outside of the main event in a way. So I think he's having a lot of fun. You can tell Jed McKay is just having a ton of fun writing these characters and doing his story here outside of the main event. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was maybe not as good as the last issue, but it was still a really fun issue. And you know, like, yeah, like I said, Cap's up against them in this. It seems like a lot of them are kind of maybe not on board with what Doom is doing, but also trying to kind of do stuff on their own as villains. To be honest, completely honest, I can't remember the whole goal of what they're trying to achieve here in this issue, but nonetheless, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, Mr. Hyde shows up, and yeah, I really didn't think it matters to the grand scale scheme of things with the event. Black Panther shows up at the end to help them though, so there's that as well. But otherwise, I give this a 3.75. It was just, you could tell Jim McKay, once again, having a lot of fun writing these characters, and I love the dialogue of the villains. Absolute Martian Manhunter number 3. Also, not too much to say about this one. Still a very trippy ass book, but it is. I didn't really get all the acclaim that this title got out the gate on the first issue. I thought it was interesting, but not to the point where like people were raving about it. But it is growing on me with each issue. I am starting to kind of get why people are enjoying this. It's just fucking weird, man. And this one, like, you know, now that we've established that Martian Manhunter is just basically like in this guy, in this guy's head, like, and just kind of also a present passenger at all times to like him throughout his life, it seems like in this, like, there's this weird case going on that he's trying to solve in this, where like 24 different people all burned up a homeless person at the same time, or just like, or not, maybe they weren't all homeless, but they were all like people, like simultaneously, like 24 people like burnt somebody up like on the streets, like into basically ash. Like they just created, they just did this crime. And in this issue, like, he's looking at the crime scene, he's trying to figure out what the hell happened, and then you start seeing him interrogating people, bringing them into the station and talking to all of them, and none of them have a recollection as to why this occurred, why it happened. Everybody from adults to children got burned up. Like, it's pretty crazy, like this, whatever the hell's going on here. And then you find out that there's I guess other beings that are possibly tampering with the will, or the way that people, like, you know, basically controlling the humans to do this kind of stuff. Like, there's some sort of presence out there that's getting them to do this. And then you find a little bit about that out in this issue, but it's still not 100% clear. It is a weird book, man. So that's all I'm going to say about this one. I love the art though. The art's very interesting, and I think really works well. The art and the colors for this book with the type of like weird shit that they got going on in this. But I just don't know where this is going at any moment. So I think it's, that's a good thing, but also it's hard to kind of really give you like an idea of the story if it's for me to describe it to you here on the review. So I like it though. I'll give it a 3.75 out of 5. It's interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. I know originally it was supposed to be a 6-issue mini, and now it's like a 12-issue. So I don't know, in terms of pacing, I'm interested to see where he kind of takes the story from here, and if he actually had more stories in mind, right? Like, because sometimes it can really screw something up, a series, if all of a sudden it extends its issues by like I don't know how many, and then the end of the story, which would have been really impactful, no longer is the case. He has to change.
Yeah, I just hope he's got another story, not just stretching out his single story to 12 issues now.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. But next up, you got G.I. Joe #7, Chris.
Nope. Let's see, got it covered here.
Which one did you get? I just
This
got the
one.
A cover.
You get a
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, same one.
Yeah, this one. But what'd you think?
Well, once again, I think everybody's breathing here, and this one takes another breath.
Yeah.
With Beachhead, I guess it just introduces some new characters. It looks like there's a sort of a covert, or they're trying to build a second G.I. Joe team. And it seems to be this Beachhead guy. He's concerned about being too old. He thinks he takes this last mission here to prove that he's still good, and he's got to go steal a box. And there's a bit of a mystery about what's inside this box. It's on some sort of island. He takes care of business in there, and then at the end, I guess everything just goes to hell, and yes, the kind of think on his feet. Looks like he's done, and then a couple other Joes show up and kind of pull his fat out of the fire. And it seems to be Flint and was it Lady J? They always seem to be put together as part of a team. And then the big reveal is there inside the box. I don't know if that was a big reveal or anything. It was just like a bat, like a beat up robot.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a bit of a chump. Bit of a not a you got the big surprise there, and not so much in there.
Yeah. I what's the word? Sorry.
Well, it was good action and all that stuff. It was a decent story, but I want to get back to business. This thing was humming along pretty good for a while.
Yeah, well, just like you said, it's a bit of a cool off period. I think what we're seeing is a lot of these issues we read this week are the next issue after an arc like it ended, right? So this is issue 7. They just completed the story with the last one. That's I guess in the first, probably collection, let's say, of the first story arc for this series. So yeah, we're kind of starting up again. And Tom Riley, not the artist on this issue for the first time. You got Andrea Milana, which is, a welcome change because this is the other artist Joshua Williamson worked on in his other G.I. Joe miniseries, Cobra Commander, right? So, I mean, these are both people he worked with between Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries the first time around, and I guess he's brought them on as the ongoing series artists. I was perfectly fine with the art on this one, and if this person wants to step in and do the arcs that Tom Riley isn't, I'm good for that. Honestly, I think they make a good team, and it looked good. And yeah, the story had some good action in it. Let's say this issue, but otherwise, yeah, it was. I'm looking forward to more to see where this story goes. What'd you give this?
I go 3.75.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it was a decent issue. Next up, Void Rivals 19, my boy Skuxoid, a whole Skuxoid issue, guy.
The Skuxoid mystery, or I don't know, I don't know what you want to call, but his lore is expanded in here. I thought he was dead, and I thought we were both a little sad about that, but it seems that's not what happens to him. And then who's these Junkyardians? I like the way he talks. Like, I think I know, like, whenever he says anything, I can pull those lines up from whatever TV show he's taking it from.
Right.
So that's always fun.
Yeah.
But back to Skuxoid, it seems that when you cut him in half, he'll just grow into a couple more.
Yeah.
Then, they all think they're the original Skuxoid, and, they're kind of talking about, who's who, and, he was worried about his family. And then just at the end, there's a freaking whole army of them, and there's like a
Yeah.
master Skekzoid. Crazy stuff. Great. Like, I know it has to do with Void Rivals. It has nothing to do with Derek and the Solar or whatever's going on there. But this was, for a story that's taken a breath, this story I'm all in for.
Absolutely. I mean, we always had a good laugh and enjoyed the moments with Skekzoid because he was kind of like in between the story between those two characters. You'd always get these moments and scenes with Skekzoid, and we you know the whole time it was almost like the comedic relief character. We didn't really know why he was in the mix, even though he kind of interact. You know, he's like it was almost like a bounty hunter of sorts, like he would just collect people and like bring them to and like sell people off and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It seemed like and yeah, we didn't really know too much about this guy. So this was a fun issue just to kind of just have the main focus of him being in it and learning all this stuff about him and his people, right? And the fact that, like you said, like, and then you actually understand, Chris, all those sad moments. Remember they had all these sad moments with him, and he's like in this one, there was moments like that came before this, like before we thought he was dead, where he had like sad, like reflective.
Yeah, they had another issue there where like, what kind of life is this guy living here? It's brutal.
Right. And now you find out that's why, because the one guy with the scar on his face, which is the one I guess we were following, he says to the other one, he's like, yeah, your family, your kid, like all this stuff you think is yours. It's not. Like it belongs to whomever came before.
Yeah.
It's the original. I don't know who that is. And then like, so the fact that he shows up at the end and there's like a whole army of them, I'm just like, what is going on here? You got Autobots with mustaches. I loved this issue. This was what a random ass fucking issue. Like you said, other than, you know, you see a Cobra Law guy in this. I guess there's
and then he seems to be on board with the plan too. He's like, you know, hey, your whole team freaking left you. He's like, yeah, I guess you're right. You know, I'll see what's going on here. You know, I'm on board. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's fun stuff. I like this a lot. Oh man, Skekzoid. I'm so glad he's not dead, man. Anyways, yeah, here's the panel. Here's the page coming up here with he's the alpha. Look at this guy.
Who knows if he's the alpha?
Yeah, he's got the beard. Awesome. What'd you give this?
Oof. I'll give it 4.25. I couldn't even give this a 4.5, but like, it's not talking about it. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. I'll give it 4.25 too. It's great. It was a lot of fun this week for sure. Hyde Street number 6, Chris.
Now this series is starting to kind of follow a more comic type of plan now that, you know, we kind of know the characters.
Yeah.
And it does a good job of really kind of tying everything together of all the previous issues. You know, they all seem to be kind of one shots, but they weren't really, you know, you have Mr. What's that? X-Ray Vision or whatever his name, Mr. X. He's trying to find someone to team up with to get this pranky kid. And the Miss Goodbody, she's stuck in her store and she's 2 away from, I guess, getting her 10,000, and that pranky kid comes in and just causes freaking grief on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that poor lady because they're all bad people. It's a weird way they have this story running where you can't really like any of these people, but you understand what they're doing. You know, like with this Mr. X, I guess he thinks he's found his new people to help get the pranky kid with that bus of tourists that they're all assholes in this bus, and then there's some like mob mentality business in here where they killed that guy's wife because she doesn't want to follow the mob. It's just crazy stuff, and it looks like they're going to be fired up against Pranky, so we might have some Pranky versus Mr. X wars coming down.
Yeah, like to your point about it being like more like a comic book story here now too. Like this scene I thought was really interesting because he talks about all the people that already exist in this place on Hyde Street that won't listen to him, that that are all working for themselves essentially.
Yeah.
And like, so he, like you said, like he's trying to find somebody that he can basically use here and to take out that pranky kid because he's causing a lot of shit. But all these people are also bad because they either don't want to kill or they don't want to basically play ball and they're off doing their own thing. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, like you thought all those things were one shots, but they go into that whole character, that matinee monster guy, which we just got an issue of a couple of issues ago. And the focus was on him. And now apparently he's going to be showing up in the next issue. And like they're slowly kind of bringing all these people into the fold. But then, you know, it explains all that. And then it kind of goes back to you seeing him in action for once, kind of laying vengeance on
Yeah,
somebody.
kind of do what he does.
Yeah, so that was great too. I like this book. It's a different type of book. Like it really is. Like it's definitely like a Twilight Zone kind of like, or like Tales from the Crypt. Like what I like about it though too is that this one felt like it was the one where the guy, like those shows where sometimes the guy gets their comeuppance at the end. Like these people were terrible that they killed this guy's wife because she wanted to admit the fact that their bus killed somebody, and he used that to kind of like get them going essentially. And then after they ended up killing the woman, he had them got run over by a bus, right? They're like in the movie. So I thought that was really cool. It's this is interesting. Like I could see
What's
this.
that? I don't know who to feel bad for because everybody's bad. There's nobody good in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's an interesting book. Honestly, it's definitely. I don't know if there's anything like this coming out right now that at least that I'm reading. And yeah, and then that pranky kid, like I guess the woman's afraid to leave that store, and he uses that against her. And
it's such a simple way. Like she needs people to go into the store to get the last two people.
Right.
And then now he's kind of, put up all the signs on the window saying the store is closed. And, and then she like swears vengeance on him. So who knows? Maybe when she steps out of that store, it's sort of that all bets are off and she's going to go to town one day.
But yeah, next issue, it says it's Pranky versus the matinee monster. And he's the kind of the guy that doesn't want to do anything. Right. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, good stuff.
Good stuff.
What'd you give this?
I might have to give this 4.25 as well.
This was a good issue. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I was gonna go 4 maybe, but 4.25. This was a really good issue actually. Out of those, probably one of my favorite issues they've done actually so far. There's a lot of happened in this one, so yeah. 4.25. Justice League Unlimited number 7. Got this one here, and what was this? This is part 5. I guess one more to go for this crossover between this and World's Finest. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think it's a fun sort of comic booky crossover. I think we talked about that before.
Yeah.
And, true to comic book form, it seems like the villain's got the upper hand on everything. And then the villain just freaking start backstabbing each other. It's going to screw things over. And we have, Airway, or you find all the heroes lost in time. And it seems like they're stuck there with no way home. And if Gorilla Grodd didn't, kind of spill the beans to this Airwave kid too soon, it seems like all those people would have been stuck wherever they are. And Airwave, I think did they kill him or something, or he doesn't even know what's going on. He seems to be just more of a spirit force right now. Yeah. But he can connect all the heroes that are lost in time, and he seems to bring them back. So we're gonna have a throwdown, I guess, for issue 6. With the improved Justice League versus the Masters of Evil from history. So it should be a fun throwdown.
Yep. Yeah, I honestly don't have anything else to add to what you said. That was perfect, Chris. You said everything I felt about this crossover. It's been a fun crossover. And unlike last issue where it had some like really cool moments of them interacting with their past and future selves.
Yeah.
This one basically is just driving the story along to kind of its conclusion here. So, I mean, but it's still fun stuff and it was good. It just had no standout moments like I felt like last issue did to kind of put it over the top. But by the time they all kind of came back together here at the end, I'm interested to see how it all kind of plays out here. And I guess in the next issue of Justice League United, it will be so, or Unlimited. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4. It's good stuff.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. It's been actually a good crossover.
Yeah, I think it's no prices on Infinite Earths or anything, but it's still fun stuff.
Yeah. Superman 26.
Let's see here. So here I think we've got Superman kind of figuring out what's going on. I got my issue here.
Yeah.
And I think Superman's worried about this red kryptonite that he's, or the red K is what they want to call it, that infected him. And it seems whenever he loses control, he just goes freaking batshit crazy. And he's trying to track down what's his name, Lex Luthor there in the prison, and trying to find out what's happening. And it seems Lex Luthor has some other plans. And this is a bit of a payoff issue too, because I remember, in the beginning, or maybe not in the beginning, but in the earlier issues, when they had that Graft and Farm, these other characters, I thought they were all just sort of, some filler issues to talk about things, because they all got arrested, or Superman beat them pretty handily, but they infected him with that red K, and that seems to be a big issue here. And then every once in a while, it'd move into some of those other stories that are up in the air, like with General Zod. I'm not sure if he's got his powers back, but somebody is, they're attacking somebody, and they pull out some weapons and they're shooting them with them, and they got that Superman logo from Supercore. So I guess somehow that Supercore is selling weapons to all these wacky people out there in space. So there's a lot of balls in there. They touch on a few, and I think Lex Luthor basically tells Superman that he can help him get rid of that, whatever, the red K infection, and he can get Lois her powers back. And he kind of talks to Superman, saying, what's Lois going to be like now? She's had a taste of this power, and, she can't go back to being a regular person. So it's playing on a sort of a bunch of different levels. So I think it's a pretty good run for this Superman here, and I enjoyed it. Did you read this one?
Yeah, I checked it out. Yeah, I've been enjoying this the whole way through. It's been a good series, and I kind of want to I want to say something good about Joshua Williamson, the way that he's writing this Superman series. I recently, just this past week, I was reading an omnibus, like a hardcover of the older Superman from I guess the late 80s going to the 90s, or I guess this is 90s at this point. It's basically during the Triangle era. It's right before the Triangle era and Death of Superman happens and all that, following John Byrne's Superman run. And I finished it. It's the Superman Exiled omnibus, and I really enjoyed it. And the thing that I really liked, because like that's the era of Superman that I read in the 90s, like leading to Death of Superman. And the thing that I really liked about that book is the way that the storytelling was done back then, is that they didn't write for the story arc because they weren't worried about selling
Yeah,
collections, like
for
trade
free.
paperbacks. And Joshua Williamson is kind of doing this storytelling very similarly in this series right now, in the sense that he always has like 4 or 5 different plot lines going on at the same time. And the cool thing about that era of Superman, that's why, when they went into the Triangle era, they called it that, is that they had about three or four different books of Superman going on at the same time, that the storylines would all go into, and the different writers and artists that were working on them were like kind of working together basically to kind of lead him, from one point to the next into each of the books and the titles and the stories that were continuing throughout them. So I just want to say, like, that's kind of like, I like how he's doing the storytelling. Like, there's always a through line to this series, and there is story arcs, but there is always a lot of different types of things going on. And I think that this is obviously him trying to tap into that whole 90s kind of Superman kind of storytelling that they were doing, which, I know a lot of people talk shit about like 90s comics, but I actually really like that stuff. And I like the way they used to write the stories during that period for this character. So,
Yeah.
for me, it works, and revisiting it was a lot of fun, actually, and having, that perspective now of the fact that, oh, this isn't all leading to a conclusion in
Yeah, it's
6
not a
issues,
6-issue arc. Like,
right?
I don't mind the 6-issue arc, but
Neither
when
do I.
everybody does it, then
Yeah,
it sucks. But not everybody should be doing it.
I agree. I'm not against it either. And obviously comics are not as wordy as they were back then. There's a lot of great things about modern comics too, but I do miss that. You don't get enough people doing that type of storytelling anymore.
Yeah.
So I do like the people that actually make the effort to do that. So that's the best thing I could say about this series, honestly. But that's so. Anyways, what'd you give this?
I think I'll give this Superman a 4. I liked it.
I'll go 3.75 for this issue, but overall I think this is a great series. Like I said, yeah, it's good. I can't wait for a collection to come out of it because I'll probably will pick it up because I haven't bought any of this in issues. All right, Chris, Deadpool Wolverine number 5. Got this great Alex Ross, Nick Fury cover.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't get that one.
I don't buy this series usually, but I had to get this one, man, because I love this
I
cover.
gotta check my pull list. Make sure maybe I didn't pull them.
Make sure, yeah, if you can. That's a good one. But
Freaking my stupid LCS. They're giving me all these crappy ones. I got that freaking gargoyle. I didn't ask for that, but I'll take it anyways. I think it was Hulk 25 anyway, so it was good. But yeah, I didn't even know the Nick Fury one was out there. I didn't read the Deadpool Wolverine this time.
oh shit, man, I thought you did. My bad. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I picked this up basically for the cover, but we have been reading the series up till now. And once again, Joshua Cassera just killing it on the art.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great. You got this really cool thing of New York City. You see the Punisher in action in this panel. I'm like, he is coming back. Here he is in this book before his like Red Man series that starts in September. I don't even feel like we've gotten a panel of him anywhere for the last little while, unless it's like some past story. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, basically this is just continuing the story about Deadpool and Wolverine being somewhat controlled by Strife and kind of being put out on these missions. And yeah, and that's basically it. Not too much new to kind of talk about here in this issue. I mean, it's dealing with a bit of the fallout that happened previous to this one with the whole zombie situation that they walked into, but again, this is Ben Percy just doing action movie type of storyline like he's really good at. And that's kind of what this has felt like. And, like I said, this and the other book were coming out around the same time, the Weapon X-Men one. If you're going to read one book with these two characters, Wolverine and Deadpool, read this one because one, you got Joshua Cassera on art, and two, at least this guy, Ben Percy, he's writing, like, there's not much to this story, but the way it's written, it works well for what he's doing here. Like I will say that. So you get some cool moments. It's like a Fast and the Furious type of movie. That's all that, like a comic essentially. You get, cool moments, cool characters, good art. I mean, yeah, it's good stuff. I like this series. I mean, I think it's not afraid to be what it wants to be, Chris. I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5 though, but Cassera is absolutely killing it. Look at this. Great stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Next up we got Predator versus Spider-Man number 2, Chris.
Yeah, this is a series I wasn't planning on buying. But I think I didn't put it on my pull list, but the LCS is picking it up and I'm buying their issues. And I did, I did see this, the preview of this with Mary Jane on the cover, looking in distress there. That's a classic over there, I think. But the story here, I'm still enjoying this world that they have Spider-Man in. It's a crazy world. I guess it's like some heat wave in the summer and things are going nuts. Mary Jane's stuck in a train. She gets out of there. And then there's I'd like to say it's a predator, but maybe it's not a predator that's causing all this kerfuffle there. Because you seem to see all these people that are hung up and kind of killed the way predators are being killed, or killing the way predators kill people and kind of taking trophies. And then you have Craven in the mix here. He's trying to hunt down this predator because he wants to have the thrill of the chase. And then I think at the end we have actual predators coming in, and it seems that whoever's doing this hunt has attracted the attention of actual predators, whether it's I think they call it a dishonored one, or it could be a rogue predator out there. So I always hate when it's, Spider-Man versus Predator, and then the Predators come in and they're going to be, fighting side by side with Spider-Man. Again, I'm only guessing at that point, but that seems to be the way it's going. And it's not going to be really a versus, it'll be more of a team up. But it's still not bad.
I like this issue less than the first issue, unfortunately. But I again, Ben Percy on this one as well. I will say, though, there is something to this that does make it interesting because this is a very elseworldsy type of out of character book. Like it is not sound or feel like most Spider-Man stuff I've read, but yet there is interesting things happening in it, and he is in compromising situations, and you're seeing stuff you would not see in a Spider-Man book. So
Yeah.
it is basically like this is an out of continuity type of weird Spider-Man story, honestly, and and as it should be because it's a Predator crossover. But
I like the relationship between J. Jonah Jameson and Spider-Man. It's almost like if Spider-Man or Peter Parker didn't do any science stuff and just kind of dedicated his life to the Bugle, and then whatever you know online stuff has kind of gotten rid of newsprint, so there's not much left in the Daily Bugle, and it's just basically J. Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker, and he's writing the stories, taking the pictures. I kind of like that world that he's in.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. I agree with you. There's some funny moments with those two talking in this one, but basically at the end when he's talking to him, there's predators on their ship coming descending down at the end there. So I guess we'll see how this plays out. But what'd you give this one?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't enjoy this as much as the first one, but I still enjoyed the series. I'll give this 3.75.
I'll go 3.5 on this one. And then finally we got Ultimate Spider-Man number 17.
Throw these away each time. I got a couple of covers for this one.
Oh, nice. Let's see it.
I got the A cover, of course.
Yeah, I got that.
And then
oh, you got that one. Nice.
Our new favorite artist, Ivan Talavera, or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Nice one. That's a nice one. Yeah.
Not cheesecakey at all, but just a nice cover.
Great shot. Yeah, great shot of her. It's really good. Yeah, good stuff. What'd you think of this?
And I got to struggle here to figure out what goes on in this comic here. I think there's a lot of stuff with Mysterio. Oh yeah, the meeting with was it Kingpin and his crew met up with Liz Allen?
Yeah, so she meets with first Robbie Robertson, who comes by the office. Then as they're leaving, the Kingpin comes in. And it seems like all of them have some sort of the Mysterio, like
part of this Mysterio 5, let's say. I think there's 5 of them that share this amulet.
But they're all aware of essentially now that they've revealed that she's part of this, basically this cult or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah.
The secret like society. Everybody who's now coming to see her is basically about more of that business, more so than like what she actually, whatever the hell she does at Oscorp, right? So it's like, it's, and then after the Kingpin leaves, you have her husband there, Norman. He comes out, right, like from behind the scenes, like he's been hiding this time because he's still dead to the world at large or whatever. There was a lot of that kind of stuff going on in this issue, and then he's meeting with Peter's dad and the Bugle people because by the end the whole reveal is that he reveals himself to Peter through them that he's still alive. Like I guess he's the
and then there's stuff with some Otto Octavius there too. He's using against some secret lab, but not really being funded by Oscorp anymore.
Yeah, he goes to see him and he basically touches base with him and says like, what do you need basically? Because I can't like just publicly see you. So I'm going to send some stuff over. And he actually brings up a really interesting point. He says, well, now you're actually officially dead. Your wife can basically take it all. You know that, right? Like the company, like everything's going to be under her name now. You really don't have any power right now in this situation. He's like, don't worry about her. He's like, I got her in line. Don't worry. Like I'm in control here. I'm like, I don't know, man. The way that they're writing her, like she's
there could be a big swerve coming up here. Like, it's weird that like these Mysterios that you thought were part of the Sinister Six, they're basically fighting Wilson Fisk and his crew.
Yes.
And it's supposedly like Craven is like MIA, which I imagine they shot him or something, but he may not be dead. So there's some interesting stuff going on in this whole series. And I don't know if you want to call it a slow burn. I think it's a medium paced burn. And I'm enjoying everything that's going on here. Once again, I hear a lot of people saying, they don't like anything that's going on, that it's not a Spider-Man comic. I don't think it's a Spider-Man comic. I think it's like a Spider World comic, like where it's not all these freaking crazy Spider-Verse stuff, but just all the people in how this New York is is moving in this maker world or wherever they are, this ultimate world. I like it.
Yeah, that's another thing too, actually. That's definitely what's going on here. Like, it seems like Liz Allen is basically like the evil, like Green Goblin type of character, or she's turning into it anyways at this point, because even in this scene, like, they shoot a bunch of missiles, like, and he wants to make sure there was nobody in the building, but then she just goes ahead and kills, like, she ends up like blowing it up anyways, like, without his say so. Like, there's a moment where, because they're attacking what's his name, that character, Mr. The Negative or whatever. Like, he's got all those like samurai kind of people like in the building, and like there's this whole moment where they're fighting against them, and she kind of makes the decision to go ahead and, like, you know what I mean, like, without worrying about innocence, like, you know, pulling a move like that. And he's the one that's like, hey, what the hell, like, you know, what are you doing blowing up that building, right? So, like, I don't know. She's going off the rails a little bit. I feel like, I think with all this power that she now has, right?
Well,
I think,
everybody's expecting, Harry Osborn to make the heel turn sooner or later, and
yeah,
the way this whole series has been going, everything's freaking, on its head.
And the Norman Osborn being like in the suit seems like it's also, that whole storyline is getting weird too, because he's talking to his dad.
Why would you not just shut that off? Like,
Yeah.
I know, like, when they put it on, they couldn't, they couldn't re-choose it or whatever, but like, enough already. This isn't your father here. It's just an AI voice coming in your head. You go, okay, enough of this. This is not helping me at all.
No, it's bad. I don't know what the hell's happening there, but like the guy's like judging him and stuff, and it's like an AI father.
Yeah, it's tearing him apart the whole time.
Yeah,
you can turn that mic off, buddy. Relax.
Yeah. So yeah, no, good stuff still, but yeah,
I'm enjoying this a lot.
Absolutely. What'd you give this?
I'll give this a 4.
Yeah, 4. Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, that's gonna do it for the book, the week of books that we've read and we want to talk about here. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week? The week of, what is it, the 5th or the 4th? Yeah, June 4th.
Yeah, June 4th. Yeah, from the Marvel world, Ultimate Wolverine. I may take a look at this X-Men 17, not buying it. Amazing Spider-Man number 5. They got a variant cover on this. Oh yeah, I got there's like a spoiler variant, a Mark Bagley spoiler variant. See what that's about. Hold on, I lost. There it is. I got that Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion. There's a nice that Carrie Andrews cover with all 3 of the Spider-Men there. I don't think I'm buying the rest of this series though. When I see what it's all about, it looks like it's based on Miles Morales kind of coming into the Ultimate world.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me to do the same now. Yeah, which I didn't realize was the case. I thought Spider-Man was going to be more.
Yeah, they'd be together and kind of figuring things out.
Yeah,
doesn't look like that's the case. Ooh, Alien versus Avengers 4. Imperial number 1. I think I'm getting hyped for that. I saw some previews there. That's looking good.
Yeah, nice.
Storm 9, all new Venom 7. That's been hitting me in the feels. And let's see, we got Doctor Strange of Asgard 4. Jeff the Land Shark. I know you'll be reading that. I don't know if you're getting that. And there's Marvel Knights World to Come. I'll see what that's about. I think I saw a preview for that. I wasn't too impressed, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I'm not sure either, but yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 5, Farmhand 22, Imperial number 1. Very much looking forward to that. That's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most next week. Kea 27. I got Marvel Knights The World to Come number 1. I've ordered. Spider-Man Incursion number 1. Ultimate Wolverine. I think I also do still have X-Men on my pull list. I think this might be the last issue I think I've pre-ordered, number 17. So I have that. And then let me just see digitally what else I might be checking out. But that's everything I'm picking up.
Absolute Superman 8. That's coming out too.
Oh, I'll be reading that. Yeah, I'll be reading that. Oh, Moon is Following Us 10 comes out next week as well. I have that as well ordered. So that's the conclusion. That's the conclusion of that series. So we'll be talking about that for sure. How about Scorch? You still reading that? That comes out next week too.
I don't know if I got it on my pull list, but they pull it for me every once in a while. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, it's been okay.
Let's see, DC, if there's anything. I might read Absolute Green Lantern as well. We'll see. Absolute Superman for sure after the last issue. I'll be reading that. This is the week of Birds of Prey, Batgirl. Yeah, maybe. Those have been all right. JSA number 8. These are all books that have dropped now, but like they're things I read digitally. But got to make cuts there as well. So we'll see what happens there. See how big of a week it turns out to be here. I don't think there's anything else from Image. I think that's about it, though. Moon is following us, and Kea. I think that's about it for Image that I have. And Marvel, all new Venom 7. Storm, you said it comes out. I'll definitely be checking that out. Doctor Strange of Asgard. I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. But a couple of big releases coming out next week with Red Hulk 5. But like now that's going to be an ongoing. I mean, that story's been enjoyable, but I thought that was just going to be a miniseries for One World. And
they got to stick to these miniseries. Like Red Hulk is good for 5 issues, but nobody needs a freaking ongoing Red Hulk.
No, I don't think so.
Like same with Psylocke and Magic and all that. Nobody needs that.
No. Yeah, it's weird how the things that they are making from ongoing series, I think in their mind, they're like, oh, well, we don't do series as long anymore. So I guess we'll do 10 issues instead of like 5 for certain things. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. But anyways. Okay, so that's going to do it for things that we're looking forward to reading next week. But Chris, your favorite of the week.
Well, before we get into the favorite of the week, I don't know if you want to talk about some Donny Cates news.
Sure, yes.
I think we're both big fans of Donny Cates. Haven't heard much about him for the longest time. And I imagine, I think he was at some Comic-Con or something, and he did a couple interviews. And it sort of talked about what really happened to him. He was in a big car accident, and it looks like, he got banged up pretty hard, and it wasn't just physical. There was, some brain injuries or something. I heard he lost some short-term memory, and he kind of touched about what happened to all his series that were going on at the time that he had, because everything's just sort of dropped on him. He was in the middle of Vanish, and like that series just dropped. Wasn't he in the middle of Hulk at the same time?
Yeah, basically Ryan Stegman, who was on Vanish with him, and Ryan Otley, who was on Hulk with him, basically agreed to write the rest of his idea.
Basically they probably had the best idea of what was going to happen. I imagine they have communication with each other, and nobody else would know what's going on there.
But even then, like the series basically just did another arc, and then they just
finished. Yeah, just stopped it. It just ended. Yeah,
and Thor.
Yeah.
Thor was the same thing. Thor, what's her name, took over, I believe, at that
time. Yeah, Tony Grumbeck.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Chris did send me the article. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. And it is interesting to hear, he lost 8 months of his life, in terms of his memory. He couldn't remember, like he said. And it's just sad because we and Chris were talking, and I mentioned it to him. This guy would have been the biggest writer that Marvel has right now if it wasn't what ended up happening to him, right? I mean,
and it sounds like before his accident, he was pitching this Ultimate Universe, and he was on deck to write Ultimate Spider-Man, and now he's got to sit back and kind of just see how it all basically. I don't know if Jonathan Hickman is using his ideas, but just kind of seeing how his ideas all played out, and so successfully, it's got to freaking just kill him inside. And then he's also complaining how the Ultimate Spider-Man looks like him. And then I saw a picture of what he looks like now. I don't know if it looks like him, but it's still a guy with short hair, and scruffy beard.
Yeah, I know it must be really weird for him, honestly. And I mean, I guess maybe why he's doing all these interviews finally and telling his side of things. Is because there's been rumored that this summer, like you said, he's supposed to be making some announcements and coming back to comics, hopefully, finally, after being away for almost 2 years at this point due to the accident. And we had talked about it previously on this show too. I think we had, after a while, that news had leaked out about what happened with the accident and stuff like that. But what I didn't know was, like you said, about the whole fact that he was just setting all that Ultimate Universe stuff up. and that they chose to kind of just move on without him. I mean, it kind of sucks. Like that's kind of like
Well, it sucks for him, but what can you do? Like
right.
you don't know if this guy's coming back. You don't know what's happening with him. You can't put that stuff on hold for years.
And it makes a lot of sense because when Chris sent that to me, I was like, oh yeah, he had the Maker as a character in his Venom run.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what he said in the interview as well. He goes,
yeah,
I kind of planted some seeds early about that.
That was one of them.
But who knows if Jonathan Hickman wants to leave this, or has to leave, and if they can sign Donny Cates on this, that would be freaking spectacular for Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like we were really enjoying his stuff before all this happened, and I hope now, like, at the time I was just like, I just hope he gets better. And if he's feeling up to it now and he's able to come back and they're going to give him that opportunity, I'm here for it. I thought he was a great writer. I thought he was honestly, like, he was, if not arguably one of the biggest writers they had at that time. And he would have been, I guarantee you, the biggest writer that they, like, it took Hickman to come back. Like, Hickman had to come back to Marvel because that's what I mean. Like, it makes sense now why he would be getting all these opportunities all of a sudden. Not to say that he's not good.
Well, he had a 5-year exclusive deal with Marvel at the time, and that's expired during the time while he was sick. And, even in there's another interview where he's, people are asking, are you going to finish Vanish? He goes, I can only do Vanish with Ryan Stegman. What am I going to do? Ask Ryan Stegman to freaking quit X-Men to come right for me? All the people that he was writing with or that were his artists, they all moved. They can't wait 2 years for him. They all sort of moved on to new things, and he can't get these people back now.
No, and his other artist that he worked with a lot has been working for Marvel. I forgot his name. He did this book God Country with them. He was really good. I think actually he's the guy who did who's been doing the Red Hulk book right now. Actually, I think is the artist. I forgot his name. He's been doing that book. Otley, who was not really his guy. He is Kirkman's guy for the most part, but he went back to do Battle Beast now, so that's it for him, right? He was doing Hulk with them. I mean,
like all the good art. Well, not all the good artists, but
a lot of the good artists.
Some of the good artists, they're all tied up to things. Maybe down the road it could be happening, but he does have some announcements coming this summer, so I'm curious to see what they are. I hope it's not like that Mark Millar announcement with JRJR, where it's some Kickstarter come on. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. No,
looks good, but
I mean, as far as I know, he didn't really burn any bridges with anybody. So, like, I hope that people are willing to bring him back into the fold, honestly, because, like you said, we'll definitely be checking it out. I was a big fan of his, so like, I hope for the best for him, and I hope he kind of is able to get sort of back to where he was in terms of the prominence.
I think he might be the number one free agent for writers. Like, I'm sure both DC and Marvel are, if he says he's ready to come back, they're both going to come back and say, hey, I'll give me your best offer. He's the Mitch Marner of writers right now, let's say.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's So, and I wouldn't be
here. I hope he still got it though too. Because he does say, oh, hey, I'm not the guy that was before this accident. I'm a different guy now.
That's the problem, too. Yeah. That's the problem, too. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'll be here for it, though. I will support it. Yeah. Because we were big fans of him here on the show, and I really enjoyed everything he had done up to that point. So, it's a real big shame what ended up happening. But obviously, I understand. Like, he had to go off and take
care of in a car. He got freaking T-boned, it sounded like. Oof. Brutal.
Well, no, so quickly, a couple of things about this guy from what I've learned. He used to be an addict. He got clean, right? So he had a rough road with being an addict, like alcoholic, or then maybe been other drugs too. So he got clean. He got engaged. He was supposed to get married. Then that got broken off. Then he got into the accident. Then all this other, then he lost all his gigs. He lost 8 months of his life. This is a hard road that he went down. Like,
for sure.
One moment,
it's not like he had guaranteed money. It's not like, he was working a full-time job. He gets sick pay.
So this is a guy that was actually getting his life in order finally, and then
then knocked down again.
Yeah, brutal. So it's real sad, honestly. So like, I hope that he's able to get some good gigs and let's get him back to where he was. Exactly. So there you go. Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up because I forgot about that piece of news. But that was very interesting. The Ultimate Universe thing was the thing that was really new to me, though. I didn't know that. So that was interesting to hear.
I would have been all for that too. If Donny Cates writing Ultimate Spider-Man in the beginning,
Yeah. I hope Marvel honors like maybe some previous like stuff that they had with him if there's
Well,
still
I'm sure they want to. To see when I freaking come back.
that too. Yeah. So all right. So that's gonna do it for comic book news. Chris, what was your favorite book of the week?
Ooh, thinking of it now, it's tough. There's a lot of 4.25s in there. I thought I could maybe a 4.5. I'm just gonna give the Spiral City though.
Wow.
That line with that little swerve with backward Bob and front face Fred, that threw me.
I'm really disappointed because I didn't get a chance to fucking read my copy because it didn't come in this week. So I didn't. So I'm
Crazy
disappointed about
character.
that.
I know how I get a little inspector and sector.
Yeah.
And then the preview looks like all the freaking heroes are coming back to business. I don't even know who these heroes are. But it looks like they're trying to save Spiral City, and I want to see Spiral City saved.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like I said, it may have been in contention if it may have been in the running if I ended up reading it, but I didn't. So I will say the runner up this week is Void Rivals for me, absolutely, because of the
That
stuff.
could have been in there too.
Number 19, but I got to give it once again a Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. I mean,
that was in there as well.
Yeah, I have to give it to this one. I mean, if Void Rivals came out of nowhere and may have kind of overthrown this, and despite this not being a 5, and despite it not being as good as maybe the first issue was out the gate,
but it's still freaking hitting hard with that Elektra, getting back in business.
Yeah, still super strong, and the fact that he's like bringing the Frank Miller vibes for the look of Elektra and everything else, I'll give it to Daredevil easily once again. It might have the chance to sweep for me. Three favorites of the week with that 30. We'll see. But good,
strong contention for miniseries of the year, but there's others out there.
That's a very good point.
It's Alien versus Avengers coming up next week.
Yeah, very true. Oh man. That's right. See, the thing about that book was it started it last year and it's ending this year, right? So
it took its time. That's okay.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's still in the mix, is what I'm saying. Like it's still up for grabs for the award for sure. All right, so that's gonna do it for this week. We'll see you guys next week, as always, for another week of comic books. And thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks to Chris. Later, everyone.
Well, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.